Hello everyone, this is Mumbo and welcome back to another episode on the Hermitcraft servers, episode 89, and today we're actually going to be working in the base area. We're going to be doing a whole ton of really interesting projects, but before we start, I just want to say that in the video that me and Iskal did the other day when we were completing the labyrinth, I expressed some confusion as to how I made my maze impossible. Wells Knight tried to play it and ended up with like a fairly ridiculous time, and it turns out that yes, somehow, and I don't know how I managed to pull this off, I managed to block up one of the exits with stone slabs, which meant that it looked like a wall of the maze, which means that Wells actually ended up getting stuck, essentially. So that has now been fixed, it is now fully playable, and by the look of things, well, Wells still has the best time by a long way, but me and Iskal, we're not doing too badly. This is pretty cool. I'm glad to see all of the hermits have got involved and actually given this thing a go. I spotted this guy from a mile off and I just want to say, he looks fantastic. He looks like a member of Gryffindor. But anyway, as I'm sure you can tell from the title, we're going to be working on an iron farm in today's Hermitcraft episode. Probably one of the most well-requested farms in the entire Hermitcraft season. But one thing that I'm wondering is that we're going to be building it in this module here, but I've suddenly thought, I don't know. I'm gonna check some of the distances and things, because obviously iron farms have to be a certain distance apart. But if we could build them on the outside, so we could do iron farms on the outside of this module, then we could potentially fit more in. Or we could just build them on the inside. It might look better. Right, let's see if this works. Jump! No! 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 Come on! This is so funny. Alright, we're off. Oh, man. According to the internet, iron farms have to have their centers a minimum of 64 blocks away from one another. So I've planned out the center, this is where it would go, and this is the closest it can possibly be to the sides of this thing, without it obviously needing to destroy this area. And unfortunately, this distance between these two is less than 64 blocks. And I thought about doing it in diagonals, but that diagonal distance is also too short. I don't really want to put it on the outside because I think that would look ugly. So I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to stack up a couple on the back side right here. So stage number one is of course to gather up all of the resources that we need to build this thing. Now iron farms aren't necessarily very resource intense. There's not too much redstone going on or anything like that. They're fairly big builds, but that's no big deal. The time really comes in from having to transport villages into them. That's always killer. But regardless of that, this first section is done. So we're going to be using the old school DocM77 design right here. And this is going to be filled to the brim with villagers on the outside edges over here. And this is where our iron golems are going to be spawning. And they're going to be falling down this hole into a death chamber. And then their iron is going to be transported off into the storage system over there. Now I've got to say, this thing is already starting to look pretty cool in my books. If we just pop out the top here, you can see that we have got all of the walls in, we have got the sections for the doors, and also we've got some sea lanterns. Now you know what, I feel like maybe we need some dark prismarine there. Yeah, maybe. Or maybe not. Well, without the use of dark prismarine, I think I've managed to improve the look of this thing. We've taken off some of the corners, we've added some edges, we've got some glass in there as well. It's not going to win any awards, that's for certain, but it doesn't look horrendous. Now, watching back through DocM's old tutorial really is bringing in some nostalgia. He's placing the doors, and they don't stack. I remember having to build iron farms without doors stacking. It was an awful experience. Bit of a progress update for you. I would say I am probably about 3/4 or maybe 2/3 of the way through building this thing. We have got the top platform in place. We've got all of the doors in place. You can see we also have all of our water streams running into the center, which are going to be moving our iron golems inwards. So this right here is going to be the top spawning platform for our iron golems. This is where they're going to be flowing in from the top. So as far as I can tell, I think all I need to do is place the outer edge going around the outside here, and then do the external capsules, which are going to be for our villagers. So that's where the villagers are going to be going. And with that, this thing is pretty much all completed. We've got stone slabs across the top here. We need to place in some prismarine down at the bottom, just to make sure that this place is nicely lit up. So that's that. Prismarine there, slabs, and then the glass on the top. This is going to be the chamber for some of our villagers. And we have got another 3 of them on the outside as well. So let's have a look then. Let's see what this thing looks like. And spin. Not too bad. I've tried my best to make it look semi-interesting. So we've got some glass windows and everything. That looks pretty good. Okay, awesome. So this is one iron farm module completed. All done and dusted. No villagers in it just yet because I want to do all of that at once. But of course, one is not going to be enough. I'm not just going to have one of these things. I want to have a second one. And that one is going to be going right the way up in the sky, somewhere around about here. So, I have got to do some working out, and then I think I'm going to do it in the form of a third-person time-lapse. So in today's time-lapse chat, I want to talk to you about what happened last week, because last week was a pretty interesting week for me. We had all sorts of different bits and pieces going on. Most of them, I have to say, related to filming things. So first things first, on the Monday, I actually went out on a bit of a practice shoot. Now, this is something that I haven't done for a little while, but I just went out with my camera, with Vicky, and we just shot a whole bunch of footage of just random things, kind of just going around, traveling about, shooting things that we thought were cool. I was trying my best to teach Vicky how to use the camera equipment as well, because that is now something that she's interested in. And in the end, I actually ended up with some pretty interesting footage. We started color grading it and testing it out, playing around with different things that we could do with it. And I actually thought, you know what? It might be worth putting this one out there. So I ended up uploading the video onto the filming channel. If you do want to check it out, there'll be a link down in the description. And it turns out that a lot of you really enjoyed it. So maybe that's something that I could potentially do more of in the future, if that's something that you're interested in. But following on from that, on the Thursday and Friday of last week, for those of you who follow me on Twitter will know I've been hanging around with A, some pretty cool people, and B, some pretty cool camera gear, because I was on what's known as the Reducation course, which is essentially a course that is kind of run by Red, but it's not. It's run by a third party that is approved by Red, and they teach people how to use Red cinema cameras. Now, for those of you who haven't heard of Red cinema cameras before, they're pretty much industry standard for a lot of productions. Obviously, there is also Arri and Panavision and IMAX and things like that, but Red are definitely growing in that market, and they have a range of extremely high-end cameras, starting from the Raven, which is a little 4.5K camera, mainly for drone and gimbal stuff, all the way up to the Monstro, which is, well, it's an 8K absolute beast of a camera that costs probably the same as some used Ferrari. So not a cheap piece of equipment, but obviously these pieces of camera equipment, to make the most out of you need to know what you're doing. And that is why I went on this course. I just wanted to learn something about these cameras, and I just want to say a massive thank you to the people that were running the course. It was a really interesting experience. I also want to say thank you to CVP, and most importantly Philip at CVP, for getting me in there, because that was much appreciated, and it was hugely beneficial. It was really interesting, and hopefully I'm going to take those skills forward into my future film. So that, my friends, is that. We have got double iron farms on one side over here. Now, the only thing is that I definitely feel like I should do something tall in this module now, because we've got this tall one, and then we have this tall one. It kind of feels a little bit off balance, a little bit, tiny bit. So yeah, definitely need to come up with some form of tall farm to build in this area, even if it's just extending, maybe doubling the size of that thing and having more of them up there. We've got a definite imbalance here. Anyway, these things are now built, but they are not populated. We need to get some villages in there, and that is definitely going to be interesting. So stage number 1 of the process is to create some form of minecart line, which is going to run these guys from the villager breeder all the way over into the iron farm. Now, the one that's on the floor shouldn't be too difficult. The one that is 120 blocks up in the sky may be a tiny bit more of a challenge. Now that all the blocks are laid out, it's time to start work on the rails themselves, of which we do not have very many. Not brilliant. Not brilliant at all. I take that back. We've actually got tons of the stuff. Clearly, I still need to clear out some of these chests here. I kind of don't want to do it for the time being, just because I want to make sure that the storage system isn't going to clog up again. But that should definitely do us. I mean, come on. Right, here goes. So, hitting the button. We got no minecarts, not a good start. As I was saying, we hit the button, and that will shoot this guy across. If that is on, then the villager will be kept. You don't want him to be kept, because we want him to travel off like this. He should drop down, and begin to be taken over into this area. Okay, that's good. Now, villagers are notoriously massive pains in the backside when it comes to these minecart rails. So I'm hoping that this guy is literally, he's just going to cruise along. And I feel like he might just cruise along. He does not seem to care. So off he pops. He's going to go up that minecart rail there and instantly just be dropped into the chamber. Now I really hope that all of the villagers are just this easy. Because seriously, they can get very tricky. Oh, there we go. He's on his way back. He's decided he doesn't want to go in this direction. I knew it was bound to happen at some point. Come on. He's gone straight through me. Oh, this is going to be tough. Stop. Stop. Right, let's try that again. Just keep going that way. It's not too difficult. Ah. Oh. I just pushed one in, and he just died. Well, that was very unexpected. I guess I should fill these in with water then. How much full damage could he have put? Where has he taken that much damage? I don't understand. And now my fresh problem is I keep getting too many good villagers. White coat, brown coat, white coat. Nitwit. Okay, that's perfect. Send him off. So after, let's say, a handful of mishaps, layer number 1 is now all completed. So that is the first breeding hall all done and dusted. Let's cover that up. These guys are all safe and sound inside here. Okay, now we just have to do the other 3 and the other 4 up there. Alright, I thought I could be lazy and send multiple villagers at once, but that clearly hasn't paid off because these guys are on their way back. I'm fairly certain I sent more than this, and I've fallen in the water. Nothing's going well. That looks hilarious. We've got like a caterpillar of villagers going on. But with those 4 in place, that wraps up this first iron golem farm. So all of the villagers are in. This should now be a fully functioning system. We're going to have to look out for any iron golems that come falling out the bottom of it. But for the time being, we have got another farm that is quite high up in the sky. So I suppose I have got to destroy all of this minecart track right here and well, redirect it right the way up there. Ha! This is it. He's our first one. Oh, nice. We've got an iron golem. He's just dropped out the bottom. I don't know if it happened during the previous clip. I thought I heard the sound of an iron golem, but I didn't want to mention it just in case I was going to be disappointed. But there it is. So this thing is functioning. It's working. We have built an iron golem farm. Okay, yeah, let's get started with the second one. Now in this second time-lapse chat, I want to talk to you about what I'm doing this weekend. So obviously in the previous one, I spoke about what I did last week and last weekend. Now we're going to be talking about the future weekend, which is this Saturday, Minecon Earth. I'm sure a lot of you already know about this. There's been plenty of information about it, plenty of news about it. Mojang have been tweeting about it quite a bit. It's kind of a new style of thing that Mojang are chucking on. It used to be, obviously Minecon happened once a year and it happened in one location and it just 10,000 people turned up and then it was a convention for 2 days and then it finished. Now things have changed and it's kind of like a live event where you guys can watch from your homes and you can enjoy it without actually being there, which is a fairly new thing, and it definitely seems interesting. It's something that I'm interested to see how it goes, but most importantly, there's also some viewing parties. Now, I do not know all of the locations of the viewing parties. I know there's one in London, because that's the one that I'm going to, but there's also a few other locations, I believe. So you might want to look into that if you do want to attend one of those, the viewing party type things. But I'm going to be going. I am going to be going on the Saturday. I'm going to be at the viewing party. I'm going to be taking part in a few of the different bits and pieces that are going on. I think I'm going to do some interviews and some meet and greet type stuff and all those sorts of things. Not 100% certain on the schedule just yet, so I'm going to try my best to keep you updated on Instagram, Twitter, and everything like that. Maybe in future YouTube videos if I can actually fit it in. But that is kind of the plan at this point in time, and it's something that I'm super excited for because I've really enjoyed the past 2 Minecons that I've been to. Hopefully this is something similar, and hopefully it's just as good. It seems like it's on like a much larger, stranger scale in that it's in a stadium type setup. So I don't know, this is all new to me, but I'm excited for it. It's going to be cool. And I'm excited to meet all of you that are going as well, because as I say, meet and greets and everything like that. So I hope you're excited for it too. Obviously you can tune into the live streams yourselves. I'm sure it'll be plastered all over social media, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But anyway, let's put back onto the Hermitcraft server. Whew, after running out of memory multiple times and also dying, I managed to die. My elytra actually broke as I jumped off this platform. We are done. We have got all 16 villagers in here. Now, I don't actually know if 16 were required. I've suddenly realised that iron golems were starting to spawn in this thing once I had about 10 villagers, which kind of rings a bell. It might have been 10, not 16. But anyway, I've got 4 villagers in each one of these chambers, and it seems to be working really quite nicely. Like, if we take a look down at the bottom, you will see just how many iron golems have already spawned. It's already causing a bit of an issue. So, yeah. This is what we've got so far. In the hour, maybe hour and a half that it took me to do all of the villagers, this is... this is the iron golems, and I wonder... Oh, gosh! Yep. Okay, they're very defensive. I've got iron golems I can't kill. What the heck am I meant to do here? Oh, I don't know what to do. Well, regardless of that situation, we currently have a lot of minecart rails just running through the center of the base. So I think it's about time that I repair up this pickaxe, which that is working absolute wonders, may I just say, and get these things all fully taken out. Almost there, and we are back down at the bottom. So we go. That should just about do it. All of the minecart rails have been removed. This thing is floating up the sky unaided, just hovering up there. That's all good. And now we have to, we need to build the killing area for the iron golems, but we also need to work out how on earth we're actually going to kill all of the iron golems that we already have. Lava. Lava is... yeah, I reckon that's a good idea. The annoying thing about now having a nether tunnel is the fact that I can't just quickly run out of my nether portal and pick up some lava. I know it's a real first world problem here, but I need something to complain about, okay? And die. Yeah, that seems to work. Let's get a second bucket of lava in. This is very entertaining to watch, in fact. Wasting iron, granted, but I mean, we're gonna get plenty from these things, I hope. So this guy right here will be the first iron golem officially killed by the iron golem farm. I need to place him one there and one on this side, close everything up, and we should see when he dies, fingers crossed, the iron should pop out the bottom, not hit the lava, because that would be bad news, and end up in the hoppers. Nice. It works! It is done! We have built it! It functions! We have got ourselves a dual iron farm system. Cool, okay. I guess now it's time to do conventional mumbo jumbo stuff and actually go AFK overnight. And probably get kicked about 10 minutes into it. Let's see what the results are. And we're back, and for once we have actually managed to stay AFK fully overnight. And we have a visitor, Mr. Exumovoid. Anyway, let's see what sort of drops we get from this thing. That is not bad. So we have managed to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 stacks of iron overnight. Not bad, eh? Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this episode on the Hermitcraft server. If you did, please sure to hit that like button. If you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later. Oh, and as per usual, check out the latest film on the filming channel. New one released just the other day. It's really quite good. I think you guys will like it.